Hey guys, how are you all doing? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto had mythical powers and got harem, part 1. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic, Raydes. Link is in the description, also subscribe if you enjoy the video. Let's start the story. There was a city hidden from the world in the continent of elements. Hidden badly considering it was such an economical power to the world and an epicenter for Fire Country's military might. It wasn't the capital, but it might as well have been. It was the staging and primary setting for the country's military. The ninja. The super-powered almost magic-like beings. They were people who trained and worked to control their use of internal spiritual and mental abilities. It was their kai, or what they mainly referred to as their chakra. Though, in truth, using the words military and ninja was being kind. They were more like mercenaries than anything else most of the time. It earned them and their home city money since they weren't at war. They had to be useful or they would only be a drain on resources. It also helped to increase their home power and influence through allying themselves with smaller countries and influences that did not have ninja or only had them in small supply. However, an event was soon to rise where the world would have to change. It was time a new type of ninja would come to bear. Throughout history great civilizations and cultures had fallen to give way for something new and some would say better while others would miss the past or even envy it. However, nothing was set forever. The last 600 years or so had been a nightmare for the world disguised as a blessing as people with power ruled over the world. It grew corruption throughout, but no matter who stood up to fight oppression, laws grew around it, protecting the corrupt, and the world grew stale, and with no laws to protect the people, but rather guidelines that the unjust could ignore when it suited them. Hope seemed to dwindle in the hopelessness of the growth into the era of ninja, a change people had hoped would bring law to the world, but instead more war and corruption. The law enforcement was entrusted to the ninja, many of whom were good men and women, but they were stopped by laws protecting the rich and powerful, laws some ninja would try to change, but they were smugly blocked by the greed and ignorance of men, and that led to more war and death. The ninja would soon choose to follow their orders to the letter, learning to believe that was what was the right thing to do, and ignoring orders was treason, and being labeled a traitor was the worst thing that could happen. Some would not stomach the title traitor, even though they betrayed their hearts and morals and people for the greed and power of the worst kind of scum. The world would soon change because of the pariah of all of the city of Konoha. It was ironic that the most hated child in the city would be such a person to protect the innocent and defenseless, but maybe not, as he had been the victim on too many occasions to count because of what he was, Jinchuriki no Kyuubi no Kitsune. Naruto Uzumaki was a 14-year-old boy when his legend and shadows got into high gear. He was a blonde. His hair contained a bright sunny yellow shade to the color. He was sulking and bored and quite honestly at that time he felt like punching someone, but still he refused to fall into the darkness. He refused to give his haters any validity to their claims that he was the fox demon he held prisoner and most of all, he would not be a moody arsehole like Sasuke Uchiha. The village blamed Naruto for the demon fox's rampage near the city. Thing didn't even do much property damage and hurt him because they wanted to believe that he was the demon that was sealed deep within his very being. But Naruto was no demon. He was just a child who suffered for what it had done. The people didn't care to see the reason. They wanted to see him as the demon because they were small and petty, but he knew inside his heart and soul that he was far above anything like that. He would be a great ninja and he would be that great ninja on his terms, no one else's. He wouldn't be an obedient fool like them. But then, they were only obedient when it suited them. It was selfish. It was bitter and greedy. They didn't just fail the city of Konoha, but they failed the world. They had meaningless lives, and their dreams and hopes were all centered on what they could get, what they could take. Naruto could only feel that they deserved to be punished, but no one would. No one could without disobeying the village, and no one, not even the people who were supposed to, would help him, not even with the training and combat he needed. Everything he was or had he worked for alone because nobody cared about his training. They cared more for the training of the genius bloodline students who didn't even want to appreciate their help. It sometimes made Naruto wonder who decided they were genius. They didn't train nearly as much as he did. If that was the case then maybe with some training, Naruto could have been classed by fools as a genius. But they would hate a genius demon, but then only the rich and middle class ever showed their hate for him. Genius was so subjective. He had met these geniuses, and with the exception of a couple they weren't that clever, so maybe they should just call these people somewhat gifted in ninja stuff. Anyway, back on track, when it came to the poor, downtrodden, and all-around normal people, they were perfectly fine with Naruto and never looked down on him for his burden. They knew how it was to be treated like crap, so they understood the young blonde, and without people like them to show him that the world wasn't only completely full of greed, spite, and needless pitiless hate, he might have ended up turning on them. He didn't know what to do half of the time, but he tried his best to be better. Naruto and his ninja team had gotten back from a tiring but exciting mission protecting a small fishing town in Wave Country and making sure their bridge to the mainland of the Land of Fire was built so that the monopolizing bastard business tycoon could be stopped squeezing the life out of the Land of Waves. Though, Naruto still believed that an assassination would have been quicker and more cost-effective for both Konoha and the village in Wave. However, fortunately, the people of Wave could finally start dealing with Fire Country via land and not the waters. Though, it was ironic that the bastard tycoon was killed anyway, falling foul to his own evil self-serving greed. In other words, he pissed off his own hired thug, an A-class missing ninja who wasn't known as the demon in the mist for irony's sake. Naruto sighed as he wandered through the forest surrounding the city's training grounds, thinking hard about his pitiful life, wondering what he could ever do to get any respect from the village's ninja. His cerulean blue eyes were unusually dull and he was subdued. He never let people see him when he was feeling like crap. He didn't want any of his haters to get any satisfaction out of it. He was feeling terrible because the world always seemed out to get him and take what was his to claim, or that was how it felt when his team was like that. They had to grow up. He tried, but it wasn't easy when his teacher was also against him, like most too busy fawning over Sasuke Uchiha. He didn't want all of that attention himself anyway, which was several different shades of messed up. Naruto wasn't sure whether he should feel jealous of Sasuke for getting all the attention and respect or pity him. Sometimes he would secretly feel bad for Sasuke. They had some things in common. They were both orphaned at least. Sasuke also didn't get people, or chose not to. But Sasuke got everything while Naruto got grief. Their sensei only had eyes for the last wielder, loyal, of the Sharingan dot. It was weird with how much attention Kakashi gave Sasuke. Naruto had been looking forward to his first ever mission and trip outside of Konoha. However, their sensei only had plans on the Uchiha. Kakashi Haddock, their sensei, only taught Naruto and Sakura Haruno, his third and final teammate, one thing, and that seemed like it was only to motivate Sasuke. He taught them how to use chakra to walk up vertical surfaces, which was useful, but that was all, and he had been their sensei for 6 months. Naruto actually saw that the tree walking exercise, as they called it, as little more than a technique that should have been taught in the academy, along with that water walking one Naruto would likely have to figure out for himself. He mentioned that, but just got a blank look from Kakashi, and it looked as if Sasuke might have agreed with him if Kakashi. A Jounin sensei hadn't just brushed it off, dismissing his observation. He got dismissed a lot, especially when he made sense. Then Naruto had to put up with more Sakura. She was Sasuke's fangirl, and Naruto was growing tired of bothering her. He thought it was funny. Pick the loudest, most annoying girl in class and crush on her. He had actually started finding it fun, but then she started getting violent, so he got in her way just to get back at her. Sakura wasn't a bad person deep down, but Naruto had met her mother once. The woman wasn't right in the head or something and encouraged Sakura's fangilism rather than her training, which could get the pink-haired girl killed if it continued. Naruto wondered whether he could manipulate her into training or trick someone into getting her extra lessons from a woman who didn't fawn over men boys instead of training. Naruto wished he had picked to bother Ino instead. He was sure she would have enjoyed his attention. He knew he was fairly good looking from what he knew of that sort of thing, so maybe they could have been a couple. Ino was much more together mentally that if she had someone else, she would have given up on Sasuke and fangilism. In truth, he got the impression that the cute blonde only bugged Sasuke to spend time with Sakura, as they had split up their friendship to be rivals in love, and she might have regretted that, as she had grown up some since they started the academy. Though, when all the other girls went chazzing, Ino wasn't the type that wanted to lose, so maybe there was more to that too, and she had no other options open, so didn't care, or Naruto was thinking about it too much. At least there was the magnificently adorable Hinata Hyuga. Naruto liked her. She was his most favorite girl in all of Konoha. She wasn't an Uchiha fangirl. In fact, she was Naruto's fangirl. He had caught her staring dreamily and following him around sometimes when he let her, sometimes changing it and hiding from her so he could watch her instead. If she was allowed to stalk him, then the turnaround was fair play. However, she was the princess of the Hyuga clan, so he couldn't even try to be friends with her, at least outside of missions. They would have to get stronger and are sneakier. He had heard about her father. He was a dick. Naruto wouldn't do anything to make her life harder just because he was lonely. Not yet anyway. Maybe when he was strong enough to kick her father's teeth down his throat. That sounded fun. Naruto would love to have Hinata snuggled in his arms, curled up on his lap. He felt a pleasant chill run down his spine thinking about her. Naruto and the team had arrived back home and Kakashi gave Naruto and Sakura the week off and took Sasuke for some extra training, as per the norm. He wasn't even trying to be subtle about anything. The worst thing was that Sakura didn't even care. She honestly believed that Sasuke deserved better treatment than either of them. Even Sasuke wasn't that big-headed and surprisingly refused, glaring at the man, but Kakashi had just told him that he wouldn't take no for an answer the next morning, and Sasuke gave in to shut him up. Naruto had followed them that morning. Even Kakashi hadn't sensed him. All the teacher, and he couldn't use the word teacher more loosely, wanted Sasuke to use his copycat eyes, while Kakashi showed him several ninjutsu techniques and then told him to learn them within the week, as if that was teaching him anything. But then maybe that was how Kakashi got the techniques himself, so didn't know how to teach them or anything about them. Then thinking back on the tree walking, Naruto was certain that wasn't teaching either. Kakashi explained it with minimal information and then demonstrated. After that Kakashi walked off reading porn. Naruto was no expert, but he was certain that no teacher should be reading porn instead of teaching their students. It should have been more along the lines of teach, 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 and then when the job was well done and you got home, reward porn, and yes, that should be capitalized. Naruto had figured that since he was back in the city that he would ask his long-term sensei from the academy whether he could give him some lessons, maybe some help with his much-needed chakra control or some taijutsu since school was still out. He was hopeful, even though he was just as doubtful. If the man couldn't leave the pages of the big book of stupid rules for kids who were going to graduate and potentially get themselves killed fighting ninja, why would he for someone who had fluked themselves through an A rank mission? Iruka Yamino was a man who followed a code that preached fairness. However, it wasn't fair, as Naruto knew all too well. Naruto had asked for extra help many times before, but he was told the same thing. It wouldn't be fair to the rest of the class to give him extra help. Naruto didn't get how it would be extra help to assist someone who was struggling, especially in a field so full of potential and probable early death. Naruto even pointed out that half of the class lived with ninja or even had large ninja families to get help from and asked how that could be fair. Iruka had changed the subject. Naruto never bothered asking again after that, but he also realized over time that some kids learn differently or at different rates. However, it was only the fast learners that got any extra help and all of the praise. It could have been different, so much potential lost to inflate the gifted ninjas' egos. They called fast learners genius, but Naruto wasn't sure he would. Naruto was better than Sasuke at maths. Heck, he was better than Shikamaru Nara at maths. Though he knew the lazy bum would get there, his mind wasn't very fast. Naruto knew he thought on the sly. He could make things up as he went while Shikamaru would fall under the pressure. The lazy guy would have to sit and think a problem over, while Naruto could do that fighting. It always was amazing what you could see when you were stuck on the outside. But he would have to have said that Shikamaru had never been bad to him. He, Hinata, Shino Aburam, and Choji Akimichi were likely the only kids in the academy that hadn't picked on him. That was kind of sad that it was only 4 out of 30 kids that hadn't been douches. However, back with asking his academy teacher, Iruka sensei, whether he could help him train, Iruka gave him some bull crap about needing Kakashi's permission, which was very unlikely that it was needed, possibly courtesy to ask, but not needed, so Naruto didn't bother asking Kakashi, as he knew he would say no, and didn't even acknowledge Iruka when he left. If he had really cared, he would have offered Naruto the training and help without needing to be asked. Naruto swore that someday, whether he was running things or not, that he would reform the academy, all academies, if academics in the arts of chakra use had become so lame that the kids weren't even taught something as basic and essential to ninja as tree walking. He wouldn't care whether he would have to get strong enough to crush a cage, he would do it for the kids and to amuse himself by showing the idiots up, and they didn't care that they were setting children up to die. Naruto had read the statistics, and fresh ninja had a 92% death rate if they left the city within the first 5 years, if they came from a civilian family, which amounted to 90% of all academy students, which was ridiculously high and an unnecessary loss of life. He thought he should have read those statistics before he was so eager to go out into the field, let alone when his mission became an A-ranked mission, jumping 2 ranks in the process, which was crazy irresponsible of him, let alone that idiot Kakashi. Though, Naruto didn't regret what he did to save that small country. Apparently, even a standard C-rank mission was dangerous enough for the likes of him, and especially Sakura. If it weren't for Naruto, he was sure Sakura wouldn't have returned alive. He wondered whether Kakashi was just hoping that he and Sakura would have died, and he could have then taken Sasuke on as his apprentice without Naruto and Sasuke in the way. Naruto even put in a complaint with the Hokage, but the great and mighty leader of Konoha wouldn't believe that one of his most trusted would be a spineless douchebag. He wasn't surprised that his complaint was laughed away. It was the same when he made a complaint that his school grades were being sabotaged and that the school wasn't teaching them anything worthwhile. The old leader had even shown Naruto some of his work. It wasn't even his handwriting, and lots of the work was scrubbed out, and the old man still wouldn't believe him. Now he knew why a large portion of the village hated him. Naruto wondered whether the Hokage did believe him, but let them get away with it to appease certain fools who had their heads so far up each other's many chutes that they could barely breathe through giddy affixation. Naruto made a silent promise to someday actually shove their heads up their own arses and leave them to die horrible and slow deaths. It was not a true leader that appeased the people like that, because appeasing them time and time again and you became nothing but a man who would harm children for your people's sick ambition and greed. It may not be a solid law, as the Hokage didn't see fit to make it one, but it was normally by moral rule and not right to harm children. Naruto would someday make it law throughout Fire Country and beyond. Naruto had tried to keep up his smokescreen, his lie, his smile. He couldn't hold it together anymore. He had to step into the shadows and let the darkness hide him. He could then throw the knife, swing the sword, or fire the arrow that would end the lives of those who wouldn't only fail his city and its good people, but fail the country and all that the world had to offer. He had only grown, mostly from observation. He wanted to be able to give Hinata a hug and comfort her, help her become the strong girl he knew she was. He only needed more strength, more skill. He needed to be able to strike from the shadows, slip through the light, and never be seen. The only reason they should know he was there was when he wanted them to. He wanted them to fear his justice. That was what he wanted to bring to the world. He wanted to bring justice because he had seen so little of that ideology that it was so sad. He knew there were good people in the world that got screwed over and walked on because they wanted to do what was right, and Naruto knew that it was time someone stood up and said that it was wrong of them. To be able to slide around in the shadows, Naruto knew that he would have to perfect his chakra control and perhaps separate the Kyuubi's chakra from his during battle. It would give him his own strength and a battery to charge up on if needed. Naruto slumped tiredly down into the shade of one of the abnormally large trees that grew around the city. He leaned up against the tree and looked at his horrible orange jumpsuit. He had wanted to buy something new in Wave because the people in Konoha, in ninja stores, either ripped him off or wouldn't serve him, and if he hanged, transformed using a solid illusion, and the shop owner recognized the stuff he would get accused of stealing. It happened once before and he had gotten a beating and his stuff had been stolen. He remembered the fire that store suffered sometime after that. The store owner cried almost as much as Naruto had when he took his beating. Turned out the guy had been using loan sharks and not paying his bill. Naruto didn't have any pity. It was almost like karma really existed. He took a deep breath as he looked around at the forest, the flowers, the deep blue sky, and the soft wisps of clouds. It was relaxing to be out in nature. He could hear the birds singing, the snakes in the grass, and the soft breeze as it drifted across his skin. The sun was out and the hustle and bustle of the city was far away in the distance, except for a train he could hear not too far away as he wasn't ridiculously far from the tracks. However, Naruto's eyes got heavy as he just thought of the way the world was, hoping he could do something to change it. He needed to become stronger and that meant training. He would have to steal from the library to get what he needed, but that was easy as the guards, all of them in Konoha, were very crap at their jobs. Naruto startled himself as he slipped back and seemed to fall through the tree with a splash, but found he was alone in a dark dungeon tunnel with burning lit torches sparse on the dirty brick walls. It had a couple of inches of water on the grimy floor. The hall had a chill blowing through it causing him to shiver, but with a few deep breaths he pulled himself together. He could see down one way, which led to a dead end, but the other went straight on into the darkness. It wouldn't have taken a genius to work out what was happening or where he was because he just knew. He was going to meet his prisoner. The Kyuubi was calling for its warden, and like a fool Naruto was going to meet with it, if for nothing more than curiosity, because it had so many answers and he had quite a few questions. Naruto felt that chill continuing and worsening. The closer he got the worse it got. But he ventured forward. It was nice that his mind at least gave him torches. He wondered whether he was a bit masochistic walking towards the greatest creature on the planet when he remembered it was his mind and the monster was his prisoner. His fists clenched and unclenched as he took a few deep breaths. He could almost smell it, but slowly walked towards whatever fate lay out for him. It took him longer than he thought it would before he walked out into a vast chamber with a rusty cube cage at its very center, with an eerie red glow coming from the thick shadows within. Naruto moved slowly closer. He was surprised the cage was so small. It was surely the size for several humans, not a 200-foot-tall monster fox. He wouldn't believe the fourth Hokage would be that cruel, even to an enemy. The cage was deep and dark, and around the edges glowed with a crimson light that he knew was it. Somehow that glow made him believe that the cage was endless on the inside with infinite darkness. "Hello, jailer." Naruto was startled as he heard the whimsical, soft, and certainly female voice purring out a sultry greeting. He stopped. His heartbeat picked up pace as two small hands slid out of the darkness and red glowed, her fingers sliding around the bars. Her nails were sharp and pointed and her arms soft and slender. "I'm not weak." His defiance overcame his nerves. Someday I'm going to become Hokage or something like that and everyone will have to respect me. I'll change the world and the greedy pricks will get what's coming to them. No matter how strong you get, those people will always treat you like shit. She hissed out, startling him as she pushed her delicious body up against the bars, her face pushed up to them to look into his eyes better. There will always be greed and there will always be men like Gato who will take advantage of the good. Naruto didn't reply as he looked down at his feet. He knew she was right but didn't want to admit that to himself. He had dreamt of becoming Hokage. At first, he wanted to force the city to respect him, but now he wanted to stop the corruption, even if it meant killing them all. That would then protect the weak and innocent from the danger they possessed, and if he had to commit crimes and betray the city, then so be it. You think much too small, jailer, she added to the silence, abruptly pushing back from the bars and slinking into the shadows before exiting at another corner, her fingernail tapping the bars with a thoughtful smile, looking at him, amused. Naruto's head snapped towards her as the clinking of her nails caught his attention. What do you mean the Hokage is the most powerful and respected ninja in the city? He wondered whether she thought he would actually kill off the emperor and his family to take their place and people would obey him. Why should you trust that their respect wouldn't really be fear? She asked, and for once in a very long time, Naruto truly doubted his dream as he knew that the only way at the present that he would get that seat was through fear. He didn't want to be the top boss if everyone really feared him, or even if it was just the civilians that feared him, rich and corrupt ones at least. That wasn't how he would want to be remembered as the most feared Kage. He wouldn't even want other cities to remember him like that. He would want to be remembered as a hero. He would want people to know him as a man that fought for justice and what was right. Iwubi let out a chuckle that brought him from his thoughts as she continued speaking. Respect is a two-way street, jailer. Let's say you manage to get their respect. What about all of the crimes they have already committed against you? Can you just let that go? Can you forgive their transgressions when you know deep down that they don't think you're me? They just want validation to bully you to satisfy their own petty vendetta against me. Will they have your respect? She asked, and he almost jumped as those words sunk in, making him feel like his blood momentarily froze ice cold. They could never have his respect. How could he give them such an important part of who he was? It made him feel ill to think that he would have to respect them in return. It was a two-way street, but they would have a long way to go to get a moment of respect, and he doubted they would care to walk that far. He would only respect those who never hurt him, while the greedy could die for all he cared. One day, Jailer Chan, you would wake up and realize that most of the people praising your name had once hated you, beat you, and some had even tortured you, yet there they were, they had gotten away with it. But that's your fault, he whispered, confused because he didn't actually believe it was her fault, as the people had their own minds. If you hadn't attacked, he began, but had to trail to a stop. She startled him as she burst out laughing. It was insane and full of rage, which was odd as he hadn't heard real evil laughter before, but he was sure she got it down to an art and secretly it was kind of hot coming from her. She suddenly stopped after a few more moments and he fell to his knees under her killing intent. He found it hard to breathe, but he had felt so much intent over the years he wouldn't let hers get to him. It took him a moment to stand and she let up her attack, almost looking pleased by his reaction. He fought off her power. You are so like your mother, arrogant beyond all belief, she hissed out, shocking him into just staring, his trouser problem completely gone now, but she rolled those ruby red eyes. Oh, I forget, that senile old man won't tell you anything about your mother, not even her name. Or even your father's for that matter. She said with a small smile, this time forlorn. I have grown to love your mother, and honestly I miss her visits. She was fun, and kind of funny too. But the old man doesn't know who they were, he whispered out, now feeling lost and hopeless. He wanted to believe she was just trying to get to him, trying to control him, but something inside him said it was the truth. He knew the Hokage enough to know that he would keep the truth from him and then give him some lame excuse as to why he was found out. Your father did seal me here, so I think the old man would know the truth. She said, and this time he dropped to his knees looking sick and green in the cheeks. Your mother was my previous prison. She was nice to me, held me, and well, among other things. Her name was Kashino Uzumaki of the infamous Uzumaki clan of the Land of Whirlpool, but it was her seal was so different to this. I was practically pinned down, but she loved me anyway and held me when I was in pain, which was a lot of the time. This seal is stronger though, but I get so much more freedom. I like it more, but watching over you sometimes makes me feel sick the way they treat her son. Naruto looked up with angry tears welling up in his eyes. Tell me why, please. I don't understand, why, please. Her angry eyes softened a little more. It's because your mother's seal grew weak during childbirth. You never used your own power to seal me, you were too young, but your father used his, but he's not here to keep me. This seals more automatically. It's so much better for you this way, you can learn, become stronger, and even use my power. You can get vengeance on the city daring to defile your family's sacrifice. His eyes widened in shock as he stood up shaking his head. If they might deserve it, they do deserve it, well, some of them, but that's not me. I'm not like that. I want to be better than them. I'll be Hokage. They can think of me as they want, but I will never be what they think of me. I will be a hero to all and demon to the corruption, so it all ends. You're thinking bigger, but still too small again, she muttered as she started pacing the length of her cage. Her every movement perfect, graceful, flawless, and beautiful, and it was almost hypnotic in a way. What else is there? He asked as he wiped his eyes clean as he looked at her. I've never heard of anything. Why would you want to rule a city when the universe is so huge, she said smugly. You could rule like a god, king, or emperor, but since you're such a goody two-shoes, change everything, change people's minds, people praise and respect mighty heroes throughout this world and any other you choose to go to. You can always be the hero in the dark that bad people fear. Create yourself as a symbol good people can stand behind, rally behind, and that is so much more than the corrupt could stand, and, as yourself, change minds in the light and break bones in the night. Be the hero people need, not what people expect. The H-hero, Naruto asked. He knew what the word meant and used it a lot, but he didn't understand much beyond that. But heroes are ninja. They save the day and rescue people, and he stopped as she had snorted and interrupted him. Ninja are murderers, thieves, assassins, soldiers, hired thugs know better than that Gato man's men. It was just that you were hired to protect while they were hired to kill. The reverse could have been true. Do you think that Konoha doesn't take jobs to kill innocent people? Do you think that Konoha is the holy land of goodness? Ninja, no matter the village, are just superpowered renta soldiers unless they're fighting for their lords in a war. They're not heroes, and thinking they are is almost as childish and pathetic as that pink-haired bitch's belief that the idiot Uchiha will ever want to cuddle or admit he loves her, or even that he likes her for that matter. Naruto looked away, and it was painful to swallow. He had been taught many things, but not once when he was in the Ninja Academy had anyone given him such a lesson. He knew this lesson deep down, but it was also hard to swallow. It had been all jokes at the academy, making light of a cold reality and making it seem like they could become legendary heroes of Konoha, but Konoha's heroes were other places' villains. He realized that even if he was told all of this, he likely wouldn't have taken it seriously. Nobody did. It was almost like he suspected a normal school would be like. Naruto now realized they made light of the truth because right now, the plain truth shoved in his face made him doubt his choices. He could almost feel tears in his eyes, but he saw his dreams change, and he liked the changes. It's like an ice-cold ocean smashing you repeatedly with all its stormy night. Kyuubi said gently. The truth can be hard to swallow, and your human instructors were fucking morons. They didn't train any of you like potential soldiers, but just like children playing games. Then they send you out with a teacher that just cares about the Uchiha. It's pathetic of him, as your father was his teacher and was a fair and just man. Sure, I'm pissed at being trapped again, but it could be worse. He and your mother had killed and murdered. He may be a hero here, but in other lands he's remembered as a murdering piece of shit. Then how can I become a hero? Naruto asked as he took in that his idol was not just his father, but not the hero he had always thought, but just another weapon. Heroes are both feared and loved, she said looking mildly amused as she shrugged her delicate-looking shoulders. Loved by those they protect, save, and rescue the innocent. However, those who hurt others, steal or rule unjustly, fear them. There could be times where whole countries would call for your head because their ruler fears being dethroned. Kyuubi laughed a little as Naruto burned bright red in the checks. I'm not like that. I'm not a pervert. He half shouted in embarrassed anger, even though he secretly liked that idea. She rolled her blood-red eyes. I guess I'll have to give you the proper talk, not that bullshit that stupid bitch gave you that fucked with your mind fighting your body's normal growth. It's okay to enjoy playing with yourself, and it's a normal teenage boy or girl thing to do, but we'll get back to that later. If you're to get stronger and become this powerful hero, first, you must understand what I want in return. Like what I'm not letting you out. Like you could, she hissed while rolling her eyes again. The first thing is, you will no longer take anything at face value, and you are no one's tool. If your bosses give you an order that goes against your hero's code, then say no, and then beat them to death, or not, depending on who it was. You would be in your right to refuse a mission, and you can always play them if you really have to. Also, this is a corrupt and lawless continent, so you will have to kill, and you will have to have the enemies of the innocent fearing you. If this is what you want, then you have to turn yourself into a myth. They will know you're strong, but you need to make them believe you are stronger than you are even when you are that strong. You are a ninja, and deception is always a must. Also, I've seen it a lot where foolish ninja make their fighting styles all about finesse and elegance. However, what good is that to the opponent who is just too fast, too strong, and much too violent, or worse, the killer that you never saw coming? You could kill without them having known you were ever stalking them. Don't stand around mocking your opponents, as that is petty and disrespectful to both you and them. Strike hard, kill fast, but best yet, don't let them see you. Kill them so fast they won't have realized you were even there until they're meeting their ancestors in hell. But isn't that like, no, fighting in a war human on human is all the same, because of greed, she replied shrugging. You want to be a hero here, then you have to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner. If you can swing it, never give them a chance to fight. No fighting means you don't get hurt, but when you do have to fight you will be the unstoppable force and the unmovable object. Then what do I have to do? He asked, knowing that out of everyone he knew, she was the only one willing and capable of training him. And do you know, he was curious whether a killer fox girl cared to learn human techniques. I've been on this planet for over 1,000 years, so I might have picked up a thing or two, she replied with a smug smirk. As for what I want from you, this is your mind, and I've grown bored of the prison backdrop you Uzumakis keep giving me by default. Your mother's seal was too tight, but yours allows for change. I can change where we are? He asked in surprise, as she nodded. But will you tell me more about my parents? He asked in hope. She groaned, but she expected it. I'll tell you bits and pieces, she agreed, which made him look happy. However, you'll work yourself like a monster to earn my knowledge, and if you're lucky, I might let you see a few memories, but that is a tricky trick, so don't hold out too much hope. Naruto nodded readily, a little ticked she was blackmailing him, but help was help, and maybe during anything she told him he would learn the truth of why his parents had to die. So, he closed his eyes and concentrated on something peaceful, and when his eyes opened, Kyuubi-chan's cage had changed, but she was still naked. He could see her so much clearer, and the blackness and red glow had disappeared. Her cage was now perfect glass reflecting the bright sunlight, as they were in an expansive field of freshly cut grass, with endless fields of white, pink, red, blue, and many other colored flowers, stretching out to endless depths. Then further, an endless lake shone beautifully to one side. It was nothing like Konoha, but it was amazing all the same. Hey, I don't mind the flowers and love the water, Kyuubi startled him, as she was angry. And the glass cage is an improvement, but I can't teach you to fight while stuck in here. It's your mind, I can't go anywhere but in the mindscape, and even then, I'll be limited. He frowned as he thought about letting her out before looking up. He had freed her, but now she was wearing a white leather collar around her neck. She fiddled with it in surprise before looking at him, and he shrugged. Whatever, she said in annoyance. Well, I always believe that dawdling will get nothing done, so prepare to feel pain. I can keep you here for a cool 12 hours on the outside or so, as long as I don't sense anyone, but here time moves so much slower, so that could be up to a month. You also have the advantage of my awesomeness, she smirked here, and he got a good look at her sharp-looking canines. This means I can connect my powers with your body. Although, you won't feel the pain after a few weeks of it, your body will grow accustomed. I heal you fast enough that it won't harm your body. What won't? He interrupted, as she hadn't told him yet, and he was getting worried. Connecting dream you to your body's muscle memory, she said, baffling him. In here you can grow with chakra, but it's still a dream, so under normal circumstances, it's limited to chakra and knowledge, even learning to fight, but your body's muscles wouldn't have the instinct, and they wouldn't grow no matter how much you trained here. However, I have changed that, so you can train physically here and gain experience in the real world, she said, smirking. So, are you ready? I've always believed the basics were the most important, so we won't properly move on until you can fight. You're going to be feeling this for the next few weeks when you wake until your real body adapts. It's just cool that you can't sleep here, so there is no escape. Naruto gulped and had only a new thought as he looked at her. Don't you want some clothes? She just shook her head before looking at him, and he cried out as she attacked, his clothes torn off in seconds before she hopped back, checking him out. It's even bigger in person, yum, she said, creeping him out as he covered himself. If you want to live, you can't worry about being naked. You could get attacked in your bed or in the shower. You cannot let such a stupid thing as embarrassment or modesty be your death, because that would be embarrassing. Dill the shit, and then he can't tell anyone, but you have nothing to be embarrassed about. You should be proud of that. If you don't fight back, you'll be hurt so much more, she finished off, moving faster than he had seen anyone move before. He moved his hand as a reflex as her small fist crashed into his stomach. The wind exploded from his lungs as he flew back, crashing completely naked through the flowers, blooming them up as he skidded to a painful stop at the end of a gouge of dirt. This was going to be a rough month-long 12-hour nap. Naruto couldn't help but groan as he rested after another beating. It's been around 3 weeks in this dream world of his creation, and he had kind of gotten used to being naked around his demonic prisoner. Though he sometimes got aroused, and Kaiu-chan, what he calls her now, teased him a little and didn't make things easier on him, as she was smoking hot and just as naked, but even she was impressed. He ignored his issue and continued training. He had to get much stronger after all. She had taken to helping him a little with his standard academy ninjutsu, but she refused to use hand seals or even say the technique's names. He was not sure she had ever cared to learn or remember them. She had then given him a 3-hour lecture about the pointlessness of both. Apparently, neither hand seals or words were needed, and she said they are basically a learning aid to give a learning ninja something to focus on while starting out with the techniques, and they had become habit with ninja, and since Naruto already knew the hand seals and names, she didn't want him to use them anymore. In addition, Kaiwu-chan wanted Naruto to stop making things go poof by wasting chakra like that. So, she told him about the Shadow Clone's ability to pass on knowledge and help with chakra control, which would lessen the poof of the waste of chakra until it was completely gone. Naruto wished he experimented with his clones beforehand enough to realize what he was doing wrong or what training purposes they could serve. He had just used them to fight, so they never lasted long enough for him to realize that he learned and improved from just using them. Naruto had used them and could not only walk but also water walk, and he didn't have to get wet. Naruto rolled out of the way as Kaiwu-chan came crashing down, her small fist impacting the ground where his head lay moments before. The dirt blasted up and around in a radius as he threw himself up to his feet. She carried on moving at him with a sweeping kick, taking out his feet and putting him back down and crashing into the ground. Just because a girl gives you some doesn't mean she won't try to kill you moments after, she said, mocking him as she went to stomp on his face. However, he moved fast enough and caught her foot, disabling her. He knocked her back and flipped back up to his feet while panting for breath. Naruto ground his teeth, taking a few deep breaths to calm himself down, while his blue eyes watched her, not blinking, as he rolled his shoulders as he waited for her to attack again. However, she just stood and watched him while smirking, her red eyes fixing him with her cool stare. He knew this was a part of her game plan, her fun way of seeing whether he would charge in her weight and watch for an opening. He shifted his weight slightly and watched her take the bait. As she took half a step back, he shot forward with his right fist sliding over her body. As she leaned so far back her head was almost touching the ground, and yet she didn't fall back. Naruto was practically flush to her soft and warm body as he had seriously overextended himself, and her smirk did not look promising. You should always have a backup of a backup when you go in for the attack, she laughed as she licked his face before both her palms smashed into his abs, and in a pulse of power, he went flying into the air crying out in shock and pain. She grinned as she flipped back around onto her small feet and jumped up past him as she flipped round with an overheel, kicking him in the back down. He cried out more as he slammed into the dirt floor, whimpering as he pushed himself up and away as she slammed her fist into the ground moments later, forming a wide shallow crater. He didn't have time to catch his breath as she continued her assault low down as she seemed to disappear only to reappear next to him. She had her right hand, her fingers lightly touching the ground by his feet, holding her perky body off the ground as she swung her legs around. She swept him in a scissor kick, knocking him off his feet before following through as she flipped up her left foot, smashing straight into his chest, where he went flying backwards again. Konoha and its ninja could believe Naruto was weaker than them all they liked, but the rest of this world would know that Naruto Uzumaki was a powerful and dangerous ninja, and his name would bring fear to all of the dipshit criminals and bastards throughout the world. Even the most feared monsters in the world would fear him. Aiu knew it would take a miracle for these people to change. It was easier to hate than it was to forgive, but then creatures like them didn't deserve Naruto's forgiveness because most of them would never seek it. Aiu's not stupid though, so she knew some in Konoha might seek Naruto's forgiveness, those who don't yet know of her presence, but just go along with the older crowd. It was just a matter of giving them reason to want forgiveness, and if Naruto's ninja hero kick worked out, he might actually get support. Though, if Naruto really wants to be a real hero, then he won't seek praise or recognition, but just the gratitude of those he saves. Kaiwu let her smirk widened as he had a long way to go yet, but with her intense training, he would have tyrants and drug-peddling slave traders fearing the very thought of him. He would be the thing of criminals' nightmares and the victims' dreams and fantasies. You've got to do better, she said as she swished towards him. I have to make you stronger, better at everything. She swished into his defenses and started punching and kicking, pushing him back while he was trying in vain to block her hits while pedaling his steps backwards. However, she was keeping up as she pedaled forward and continued her attack when she pulled back both wrists together and she punted her palms forward, crashing into his chest, forcing him backwards, shooting over the flower field. Naruto whimpered as he again bounced through the flowers, skidding along the ground when they changed to a huge lake surrounded by swamplands and forests. He pushed himself up while landing on his bare feet covered in bruises. He stood on the surface. He had half hoped that she would sink, but if he could catch her off guard that easily while cheating, he would be the one teaching her a thing or two. She just smirked smugly as she walked towards him over the water's surface as she looked around. I like the way you're thinking, she said, but the smug tone of her voice made him gulp. But this just makes things so much harder for you, she laughed as she dropped with a splash into the water and slipped under the surface. Naruto could only look sad for a moment before he felt her hands around his ankles and he was pulled in. Though, to his credit he resisted for at least 2 seconds before his chakra buckled under the force. At least he was already undressed, and this would clean him up. If only he made the water warm, but as it was, the water was freezing. He held his breath just before his head went under, but, as he had been taught, if his eyes were not at risk to keep them open while fighting. Don't even blink or you could miss something. Keep all your senses alert to the fullest your ability. She floated up, as they were both submerged. Her fingers stroked up his body from his thighs before ending at his abs and striking with a powerful punch. It's all about the motivation, my jailer. She replied with a tired yawn as she cuddled her jailer, feeling comfortable and content. The scene of each other mingled together to make her feel relaxed as they rested together. And from that weapon still buried to the hilt in its scabbard, I think I might be the luckiest teacher. Naruto smiled as he just held her and relished in the attention and affection while cuddling his demon vixen, Kyuubi-chan. Naruto yawned as he woke up feeling groggy and like all his muscles had turned to jelly and lead all at once. He peeled his eyes open and weakly looked up to the sky. The sun seemed to have just risen, so he could only guess that it was early morning. He felt well resting considering his aching muscles, and he felt like he should be black and blue, but thankfully he seemed fine on that front. He was soon startled as he looked down to check his body over more and realized some tightness in his clothes. It felt uncomfortable and restrictive. He had gotten used to not wearing them. He had felt free and relaxed after a while with Kyuubi-chan without them, but knew he couldn't go running around naked. The villagers would say he had lost his mind and try killing him again. He figured he needed some new airier clothes for better movement and possibly some new colors. He liked orange, but he liked other colors too, and if he got something orange, a darker color would be preferable, but it was also difficult finding a shop that would do right by him or serve him for that matter. However, he frowned as he had that evil cat sleeping on his lap wearing a little red ribbon around her neck with her name on it. He sighed. He couldn't really blame Tora the cat for being a runaway and wanting to stay away. If he had to deal with that fat woman who owned her squeezing the life out of him while trying to give him a hug, he shivered at the thought of how fast he would flee. Rolling his eyes, Naruto stroked the black and white cat's head and she started purring a proper kitty purr as she slowly woke up. She just seemed to blink in surprise as she looked at him before snuggling up to his hand and happily making herself comfortable. "Crap girl, I feel like shite," he muttered as he cranked his neck. "Well, I'm hungry and need a snack or something for breakfast." "I've had one hell of a dream," he said, chuckling, as he carefully scooped the purring feline into his arms and shakily stood up trying to shake off his muscle strain, but he was sure he had felt worse before. The cat seemed content to let him carry her as he walked through the woods stroking her fur. It was not as soft as Caillou's fur, nowhere near in fact, but it was nice anyway. How did a seal demon keep her fur that soft anyway? It wasn't as if she could buy any conditioner, was it? It took a little while to exit the forest when the sun was high up in the sky, and Naruto figured it was at least 8:30, 9:30. The academy teachers never cared to teach their students important things like telling the time by the position of the sun, as they were too boring, or the most awesome and genius students didn't want to know, so they were practically looked over. He smiled as he ignored all of the early morning glares he had received before taking a seat at the Ichiraku ramen stand where the old owner smiled at him. Naruto smiled in return as he placed Tora down on the counter and she sat and cleaned her front paws. "Hey old man, can I get 2 large breakfast ramen and a bowl of tuna for my friend and a bowl of water for her and an orange juice for me?" "Right on it, Naruto-kun," he replied cheerfully. "So, no team meeting today?" he asked with a smile as he gestured to the cat. "Or have you decided to take a mission from the cat to protect her from the next genin team?" Naruto laughed as the old man placed down a bowl for the cat with some water before placing down Naruto's first bowl of ramen and the cat and boy ate. "An old man, I just fell asleep outside and she had slept on my lap," he replied shrugging. "I feel a little sore so I won't be doing that again in a hurry." "Trust you, Naruto-kun," he said while shaking his head as he poured the boy some fresh orange and placed it beside his bowl. "You should be more careful where you sleep, there are some wild animals that could be dangerous." "Will do," he agreed as his now empty bowl was soon replaced and dug into the new one at a slightly slower speed. "I was just out training and took a rest and fell asleep," he said, telling a half-truth. "Oh, hey Naruto." He was interrupted as a large boy with swirls on his cheeks entered the stand with a grin. "I fancied some breakfast ramen this morning too, and this place is the best," he said smiling as he took a seat next to Naruto and the cat. "Sensei said to me, my team can have the weekend off, what about you?" Naruto shrugged thoughtfully. "Well, I suppose since I really don't have much to do, I could get a D-rank mission by myself, since my team has the week off after our first C-rank mission." "Well, it's some pocket money, that's for sure," Choji replied as he got his first bowl. "I almost thought you were doing that now with Tora," he said, gesturing to the cat. Yeah, well, I was also thinking of getting a change of clothes since I'm off, he said, looking thoughtfully down at his orange. I feel like something different, you know. I feel a little constrained in these. The large boy just chuckled, nodding his head. Sure, I get it man, a guy has to mix it up every once in a while. Right you are Choji, he readily agreed as he checked Tora had finished and stood to leave while picking her up. Recommend a good place. Well, there's this place my family uses that's pretty good, he said in thought. They even add on family symbols and stuff. Will you wait if you want, or you can just order and they deliver. Thanks, Naruto replied eagerly as Choji gave him the address. Thanks, old man, see you later, but I've decided to cut back on this kind of food. I hear it's not the healthiest thing to be eating every day, he said with a giant grin as he pulled out some notes from his wallet for his and the cat's meal and handed them to the man. Yeah, I've been telling you that, he called out as Naruto quickly left after that. He sighed and turned to Choji. It seems like something's different about him. Yeah, let's hope he changes colors, he agreed smilingly. It had been a few hours and Naruto was walking into the Hokage tower with Tora walking beside him. The strong-looking man who ran the ninja shop he had visited had surprised him. He had a young daughter who seemed weapon-happy and was on that fuzzy brow boy's team. They had both been very nice, and though Naruto's flirting skills were minimal to non-existent, he got Tenten blushing a little. Her father didn't even seem to mind. He was just being himself, so maybe he always had it, but concentrating on a devoted Sasuke fangirl like Sakura never gave him a chance to realize or something like that. Naruto was now kitted out with some really good weapons and was no longer wearing a complete Iso-like bright orange. He was wearing loose-fitting black combat trousers and black boots and hugged in a loose armored sleeveless t-shirt. He had a black belt with a black pouch on his right hip and 2 shuriken holsters on the other side, strapped to his thighs, and last, some tiny hidden throwing knives around the belt in little sleeves. Then on each pouch was a dark orange swirl, as a symbol of who he was, as he had always liked it on his previous outfit. He had even gotten his forehead protector redone on a black softly elasticated material that felt much more comfortable than the one the academy gave away for free. He was more of an upfront fighter, so he went for loose-fitting and easy to move in, as per Kaiu-chan's orders, but still, he was looking good enough that he caught Tenten checking him out. He would take that as a good sign. Naruto had thought about wearing weights or something, but Kaiu, and even Tenten's dad, had shot it down for the same reason, but Tenten's dad worded it differently. Naruto had too many enemies in the village to risk putting on a handicap that could get him hurt or killed, plus, Kaiu said that wasn't how Naruto styled his movements. Naruto was not a tank, so that wasn't him at all. Naruto was built more for speed than just brute force. Naruto got some surprised looks while walking up the stairs to see the Hokage. He kind of surprised himself, as the new slimline clothes made him look as tall as he was. His previous outfit always seemed to take a few inches off him with how bulky they were. He had gone to that shop, as Choji recommended, and found his new favorite place. In addition to getting all his wares and tears and his weapons untainted, he would get to see Tenten's cute smiling face when she was in, as she worked at the shop when not on missions, so that her father had time to work on weapons, as weapons were their shop's speciality. He ran his right hand through his mess of blonde hair and made a mental note to remember to pick up the rest of his order later in the evening before bed. He could have had it delivered, but didn't want them to lose custom by having them delivered to his apartment. Plus, it was a neighborhood at the edge of a shitty district full of crime, and he didn't want Tenten or anyone going there if he could help it. He almost laughed, as the secretary, who glared in hate when he came with Kakashi, but couldn't do anything, almost didn't get up to stop him. It was amusing, as she sat at her desk with her mouth hanging open before she got up in a raging temper. She charged at him only for him to sidestep, trip her, and one gentle nudge in the back, and she went flying out of the open window behind him screaming, as she fell several floors to possibly her doom, but more than likely she would survive. The secretary may only be a weak forever Chunin genius worshipper, the reason she could never improve, because she didn't think she could because of her genius worship. She was one of those that believed that only genius ninja could be strong, or that there was such a thing as genius ninja, which proved the existence of stupid ninja at least. However, she was still a ninja, and a 7-story fall shouldn't be far enough a fall to kill any ninja of genin rank or above. Though, if she did just go splat, it wasn't like the Hokage would miss her. The old man complained about her on a regular basis, so maybe if she did go splat, he would get someone halfway competent. Anyway, bitch attacked Naruto, so he was within his personal right to throw the weak bitch out of the window. He was stronger than her before he ever met Kaiu. Naruto shrugged with a smile as he pressed the Sealuran intercom thing on her desk. Though, not before wondering whether he could get a book on seals like that, they could become useful in the future. He would have to remember to look around and steal one if he has to. "Okage-sama, Genin Uzumaki is here to see you," he said, turning his voice softer, but gruffer, imitating that woman's sickeningly sweet voice that she used, which in his opinion was shudder-worthy, and sounded evil. Naruto was pretty good at imitation, and congratulated himself on his mimicry. Send him in," the voice over the speaker answered, and sounded confused, and Naruto knew that if she were to tell him he was here, she would have been rude, and called him a brat or something. Naruto laughed, as he barged into the old man's office, and closed the door. The old man was sitting behind his desk looking at him in surprise. He had paused his paperwork, and whatever else he was doing with Team 8, which was Hinata's team, and some huge fat woman. Litora the fat woman cried out, as she saw the cat, a cat hiding behind Naruto's leg, as he promised to protect her, as his first official mission to become a hero. He smiled at the pearl-eyed Hinata Hyuga. The 15-year-old girl looked at him with some gentle eyes. She had short purple-black hair with tails of hair either side of her head over her small ears. It was a surprise her family could be dickheads to her. Didn't they have hearts? She had beautiful soft pale skin, and some black bicycle shorts, blue ninja sandals, and a thick white jacket, hiding whatever lovely assets she had to hide her beautiful body behind. She was that shy. Hinata's form was slender, but a little more meat by way of muscle than these twig girls Naruto saw around, Sakura, which made him wonder why he bothered with that pinky. Hinata's thighs looked nice, even hidden by her shorts, and looking new she had a great butt. He just wished he could see her in a slender top to see what she was hiding under her jacket, but all in good time, and maybe she would show him. Naruto was brought out of his stare while Hinata's face was burning red, as his eyes roamed her up and down in admiration. She was looking faint, so was thankful for the distraction, and no one else seemed to notice, as the fat woman ran forward to collect the cat. However, a cool glare from Naruto stopped her in her tracks. Surprise. "My apologies, my lady," he said, bowing formally to make sure he didn't offend her and lose the gen in her business. "However, I have agreed to assist Miss Tora, as it has come to my attention that she has a few perfectly legitimate reasons for running away so often." "As she does?" the woman asked, looking completely baffled, and she wasn't the only one who secretly wondered whether he could talk to cats. Naruto nodded his head with a kind smile to disarm her. "Yes, and I've decided to tell you what they are because I don't care how much money you recklessly waste hiring us to capture her. She is an innocent creature and should be heard." "What's wrong, Tora?" she asked in worry, looking at the cat as she peeked from behind Naruto's legs before looking to Naruto for the answer. He smiled a little more to keep her on his side and nodded his head in gratitude. It had always been quite simple for him to lie or bend the truth. It was just that he had never cared to get away with it before. Even though he was not lying, he still had to convince her, so it took the same skills, which were good for a ninja. "Well, first, she's a cat," he said, making sure to say the last word louder to emphasize his point of her species. "She'll want to go out to do her business and hang out with other cats and hunt mice and small birds like other cats. Then next, she doesn't want or need all of that food because it's bad for her, just some fish and white meat for a treat, but otherwise normal cat chow. And last, but most important, you smother her in your gigantic bosom." Naruto glared at the Hokage, teammates Jounin Sensei, Kurenai Yuri, and Genin Kiba for snickering, before turning a smile to the large woman. "And if she wants to cuddle, she'll come to you. If you want a pet that will stay in and let you fuss obsessively over it, get a dog." "Hey, are you saying cats are better than dogs?" the wild dog tamer ninja, Kiba demanded while the white puppy on his head barked in offense. But if she goes out," the woman interrupted and ignored the dog lover in worry. However, Naruto interrupted before she tried to give reasons for keeping her in all the time and tried not to roll his eyes. "Cats are very smart. They can find their way home and remember where they live. You just need to put in a kitty door. I'm sure you can hire a genin team to go and get one and install it into your door at home for her. So will this door let my Tora come and go when she wants?" she asked hopefully. He nodded with a reassuring smile. "And I shouldn't force her to sit with me?" "Of course, not because she wants to feel free just like you do," he agreed, smiling wider as he picked up the frightened cat and placed her in the lady's waiting arms. "Ease up, she won't fall. She has better balance than any of us. That's it, and when you pet her, be soft and mindful. Cats are strong, but you're a larger lady, so you're stronger and could easily hurt her." The woman smiled as Tora started purring. "Wow, she's never stayed so still. You're wonderful. What is your name?" "Naruto Uzumaki, my lady," he said with a bow, hoping she didn't go hateful suddenly, but he was surprised. She smiled brightly. "Well, Uzumaki-san, thank you for helping me. Hokage-sama, I wish to have this nice young man paid for the retrieval 10 times over. Also, would it be possible for this nice young man to join this team in getting me some kitty doors and fitting them for my dear Tora?" The Hokage looked a little baffled before shrugging. "Well, I guess that's perfectly fine. Let's say, expect them between now-ish and 4 if that's okay by you." Of course, she replied smiling before turning back to Naruto. And thank you again, Uzumaki-san. I'll be sure to recommend you to everyone. I know that you are an honorable shinobi of Konoha. She said smiling before she left the office, closing the door after her. Honorable, you more like a moron, Kiba mocked while looking annoyed. But I suppose fitting a cat door is better than hunting that monster. Kiba-kun, don't be mean to Naruto-kun. Hinata timidly tried to reprimand him, her cheeks lit red as she hoped to impress Naruto. And Naruto-kun had just done something nice for that lady, she finished off blushing brighter and trying not to look at her crush even though she wanted to. Yes, well, Kurenai, the old man Hokage said with a sigh to teammates Jonin-sensei as he pulled out some money and handed it over to the black-haired, red-eyed beauty. Just bring back a receipt so we can charge her the extra for the cat door. She shrugged and nodded as she figured she could teach them a little about menial labor while fitting the door. Well, come on you four, it looks like we have a mission, she said smiling at them. Sweet, Naruto said with a grin as he followed them out of the door. Now I'll be able to see how a non-Uchiha worshipper does things, he said, closing the door after him. Though, I honestly think I feel a little bad for Sasuke, having all those wastes of space bothering him though, I would so take the fangirls, he laughed and his voice trailed off as the old man Hokage could imagine Hinata blushing up a storm and Kurenai rolling her eyes at him, Kiba being a twit and Shino only giving Naruto a curious look. The old man sighed and felt only mildly concerned by the clan symbols on Naruto's pouches, but the old man had been the one to give Naruto the shoulder tassels with that symbol, so it was his fault. It wasn't like Naruto could find out the truth, and if he did, he would have said something, wouldn't he? Naruto was just going for a new look and had gotten fed up with his team enough to actually start showing it. It was not uncommon for new young ninja, so no need to start worrying about Naruto getting angry at him just yet. He wore that spiral on his old clothes, so probably got attached to it or something like that. If only he could do more for the boy. The only thing he could do right then was to allow Naruto to go out on missions with other teams. Though, if he could find a team in need of a transfer or something like that, he would get Naruto off his team ASAP, but he needed to be slippery when dealing with this. Though, for the time being, sending him out with other teams, the other teachers could give Naruto some guidance without any of the council or moronic interlopers sprouting shit-arse traditions to get in the way. Sometimes the old Hokage felt like half of his city were traitors just out to fill their own pockets or just get vengeance on the Kyuubi by tormenting and ruining Naruto's life. Someday heroes in Sarutobi could see Naruto just not taking their crap anymore and striking back. He hoped he was alive to see the day when Naruto showed them real unstoppable power. Meanwhile with Team 8 and Naruto whistled as he walked beside the blushing, cute purple-haired, purple-eyed 15-year-old girl who stalked him. So Hinata-chan, the suffix almost made her pass out but made him smile wider. I know what you do in your spare time, he teased with a grin while she paled and looked sick, her cute little cheeks tinting green. He leant in closer so their teammates up ahead wouldn't hear. My senses are very acute, he said, causing her to neatly collapse out cold, but he caught her and scooped her light form into his arms and carried her without missing a beat. What did you do? Kurenai asked as she looked round to check on them, an eyebrow raised in suspicion. Naruto gave her a sheepish grin. Sorry, I was just teasing her and she passed out, don't worry. It was my bad, so I'll carry her. I haven't seen her go for more than a few minutes at a time. Maybe we should get her checked out, maybe she has some kind of illness. He suggested reasonably. Maybe we should get you checked out for stupidity, Kita said laughingly, as if he actually said something amusing, though it was only him laughing. Naruto just shrugged as he made a mental note to study up some healing stuff, or at least that medical scan thing, or whatever. Kaiu didn't even mention things like that. She was more about the arse kicking and fighting. Okay, just be careful with her, Kurenai said as she slapped Kiba's head while glaring at him in annoyance. She was starting to have enough with his lip and rudeness. And can you stop being an arse or I'll have to speak with your mother. Kiba paled worse than Hinata had. Oh, gods no, please don't, he said worried, but everyone knew he would shortly forget the threat and continue on being a moron or offensive in some way because he was an arsehole. Then stop being a fool, you're not funny and just making yourself look stupid, she replied, rolling her eyes and half wondering whether she was allowed to beat some sense into him with a few swift punches. Anyway, here we are Kiba, since you don't know how to behave, come and help me pick out the cat door. Then no way, he said looking up at the large building with a quiver. My family runs this place and my sister runs the vets. What if she's here, working, and not on a mission or at home or something? Well, if she is in and you don't come, who knows what I might tell her, understand? Kurenai demanded while he nodded, scared, but she knew it wouldn't last. Good, now, Naruto, Shino, please wait here with Hinata, we shouldn't be long, so we don't all need to go and find this thing. She then led Kiba away and into the shop just as Hinata was coming to, and before she passed out again, Naruto slid her back onto her feet and moved a little further back from her. She staggered a little and looked confused, but Shino's eyebrow actually rose behind his round sunglasses, impressed. Naruto shrugged sheepishly. It took 5 pass-outs once before I realized she was really that embarrassed to wake up in my arms, he quickly said before Hinata got her bearings, blinking sleep from her eyes, baffled. Oh, Shino-kun and Naruto-kun, the sweet stalker stuttered out, wondering and worried whether that was just a dream, and she spaced out, her cheeks bright red with confusion. What don't worry Hinata-chan, Naruto said smilingly. Stick with me, he said, leading her into the pet store with Shino shrugging as he followed them. It's better than the bushes, he teased as they walked past some fuzzy bunnies. Naruto quickly grabbed a fluffy white rabbit out of its pen as he saw her about to go to dreamland and plopped it into her arms, startling her. She just looked at the tiny thing as it looked up at her with a little pink twitchy nose. She had just forgotten about passing out as she smiled, petting the cute little thing's soft fur and darling ears. Maybe you should take Kiba's place on this team, Shino suddenly said as Hinata was distracted playing with the bunny. Naruto looked at him in surprise and he shrugged. All Kiba wants is confrontation and just makes fun of her, and I'm not much of a people person, but you seem to know how to treat her and other people with respect. I think Naruto agreed as he smiled while looking back at Hinata as she put the bunny back and stroked some others. She doesn't have a clue how incredible she can be, you know, but I do, he said the last 3 words looking back at the other boy. I'm tired of being the weak fool, and I think deep down, she's tired of being the timid weakling, and no matter how strong we get, or how much stronger, people like Kiba will always believe he is better or stronger, but I don't care about that anymore. I'll let my actions speak for themselves. I too have problems with pre-digest, he agreed with a nod. But all we can do is become better, stronger, and not let their foolishness get to us, or we'll become just as bad as them. I refuse to be like them. Naruto nodded with a smile before turning back to Hinata and playing with the rabbits with her. She had actually talked with him about them without stuttering much. It was nice, not only was she beautiful, kind, and sweet, but a beautiful person, and he made a silent promise to help her the same way Caillou had helped him, as she didn't have a monstrous powerhouse from another world to save her. Hey, you 3, Kurenai called out as she came to their aisle a little while later, having looked around for them after she found them missing from out front. Come on, let's get going and install the cat door, stop playing with the bunnies, she said, rolling her eyes as even Shino had been petting a bunny as they were pretty adorable. Naruto smiled as he stood up after placing both his and Hinata's bunny away and offered his hand to her. She smiled while blushing as she let him pull her up and she found herself walking with him near, holding his arm. They followed Kurenai out of the store where Kiba waited while sulking with the cat door in its box in his arms. He just gave Naruto, Hinata and Shino a cold look to make him wait. Though it had no effect on either Naruto or Shino, Hinata let go of Naruto's hand looking ashamed as if she had done something wrong. Don't we need to go and get some tools? Naruto asked to distract him from looking at Hinata like that. It's either distracting the jerk or breaking his face. Kiba just shrugged and shoved the box into Naruto, allowing him to look over the instructions. There's this huge home improvement depot around the other shopping park. It's only about another 2 minutes if we take a shortcut over some buildings, he said looking around as they only had the pet store, a few furniture stores, a bicycle shop and a huge toy shop within this park. Nope, we won't need any of that, Kurenai said smugly as she led the way with the 4 genin following her lead. And the Hokage has asked us to stop using buildings as stepping stones unless it's an emergency somewhere. A lot of civilians have been complaining about ninja bothering them by using their roofs as walkways or dropping out of the sky, but that's a moot point as we won't use tools as we'll do this the ninja way, she said while offering her team a grin. It was 3 hours later and Naruto was quite impressed with the odd little Kurenai who had taught them just to do a little D. It was kind of magic with the way it worked. Though it wouldn't be useful in a fight, it was useful enough that even though Hinata said her family wouldn't like her learning such non-Hyuga things, she saw that she could get it right well after Naruto told not to be so silly, as knowledge was the ultimate power, but the power above knowledge was the ability to put that knowledge into practice. Hinata shyly and proudly obeyed Naruto, as she would prefer that he was proud of her, even if her family never could be. It had taken a short while to get finished when Kurenai said they could all go off and do their own thing afterwards, where Kiba carried on teasing Hinata. It was not the gentle and playful teasing either, but it was hurtful and sometimes borderline sexist, or just plain out sexist and offensive, and not in that jokeful way, but in the way that would end up destroying all of Naruto's hard work, trying to instill some confidence and self-worth and pride in herself. Naruto wouldn't allow any of that to continue. Kiba, look, it's your sister riding a giant stick insect. Naruto was actually surprised when Kiba looked at where he was pointing at nobody. Where the dog boy asked in curiosity. However, Kiba couldn't say more as he collapsed unconscious to the ground as Naruto pulled his fist back and pulled out some markers while the boy's dog wisely ran away leaving him. Kiba was completely out and bleeding from his nose and mouth. These are permanent markers, Hinata-chan, Naruto said smirking with a suggestive eyebrow wiggle. Let's get him back for being so mean to such a great person like you. She was a little reluctant, but after some coaxing where even Shino agreed it was okay and that Kiba really did deserve it, the three of them doodled on his face. Naruto drawing a huge dick where it should be smack dab on the dog boy's forehead caused Hinata to giggle in embarrassment, but she gave Naruto a weird look he couldn't discern. He deserved it. Kiba's sister, the beautiful Hana, turned up with her 3 large dogs and Kiba's puppy. He always deserves it, she said smirking as she grabbed him and carried him off with a simple thanks. It wasn't that strange that she was thanking them for beating him up and doodling on his face. Naruto liked her. She had a fun sense of humor and knew her brother was an arsehole. Well, you guys want to get something to eat? Naruto asked Shino and Hinata hopeful as he felt his stomach grumble. Thank you for inviting me, but I believe I have some training to do, Shino said after a moment. And I must remember never to fall for any kind of look over their ploy as it seems super effective, he said before walking off. How about you Hinata-chan? He asked as he turned to her looking hopeful. She blushed while biting her lower lip and nodded. He grinned as he took her hand and dragged her off to find a place to get some lunch. Meanwhile Shino had walked home with a lot to think about. Naruto, the dead last had effortlessly decked Kiba. Surprisingly when it came to practical work, Kiba was near the top of the class at the academy. He had never known Naruto to cheat at anything before, but just seeing him cheap shot that egotistical jerk almost made Shino smile. Shino made it quickly back to his family home while continuing to think. If they continued the way they were, Hinata would never improve. It was a part of his responsibility to bring these things up. He couldn't continue to allow Kiba to continue bullying Hinata, and he was being mild today because they had Naruto with them, and though Naruto didn't care about Kiba's rudeness to him, it was obvious he cared about Kiba demoralizing Hinata. Therefore, he entered his father's study to ask for some advice, as Kurenai just couldn't do much, and it seemed even Kiba's mother couldn't get him to quiet down. Kiba didn't seem to realize that he was being a dick no matter who told him. He just thought he was having a laugh even though it was only him laughing. What seems to be troubling you, son? His father asked from behind his desk. I am once again troubled about my teammate Kiba's selfish arrogance. He spoke his concern, as he had once before when the team began. He is nothing like Hinata and me and is constantly putting her down, and when we were on our first mission together tried peeking at her and sensei. If not for me he might have. I find this behavior dangerous and disrespectful. He treats us both as if we're beneath him, and during our first C-rank mission, he almost got Hinata seriously injured. If it weren't for Kurenai-sensei I would hate to think so. Kurenai is a clever woman. I'm sure if he was really getting to be that annoying she would get rid of him, his father replied looking thoughtful. However, I'm not sure what would happen, as I doubt he's done enough for anything like dismissal. You would have to trade him with someone from one of the other 2 teams. Yes, I have also seen this predicament, he agreed looking thoughtful. However, it seems that because of the team dynamics that he could only be traded with Naruto Uzumaki. I see, his father replied not showing his surprise. And you would be pleased with this turnaround. I would father, he agreed nodding his head. The faster this is accomplished, the better for my team. Kakashi's team will be quite capable of putting Kiba in his place. Very well, he agreed. I know that you of all people would not want this unless it is a good option. I shall speak with Kurenai and the Hokage about this matter, but I cannot make any guarantees. That is all I can hope for, father, he said with a nod of gratitude before leaving his father's office and hoping for the best. Thanks for watching my video and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic, link is in the description, see you next time, till then sayonara.